Hello and welcome to the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast for November 11th, 2024, episode 320. Happy Veterans Day to all of our veterans out there. I know it sounds trite, but thank you for your service. This is stand-up comedian, actor, and improviser and dreamer Paul Green, sharing my journey as a performer and as an entrepreneur, and just, as a regular human being, just out here in the world, spinning through the galaxy, stuck to this orb by gravity, experiencing all of the ups and downs and the highs and lows of this linear time theoried existence, and trying to make sense of it all as I do. Wow, that was a pretty deep intro. So, this week is just going to be a crazy week. I am officially in the middle of Tech Week for the patent pending sketch comedy show, which I will be performing in this weekend, and I'll tell you, it has been quite an experience thus far. So I randomly auditioned about 2 or 3 months ago. Just got a casting notice on one of the casting networks that I'm a member of. I'm a member of like 4 of them, and so I don't actually really remember where it came from, but it just said looking for comedic actors with an improv background for a sketch comedy show, and I'm going, hey, that sounds like me. So I show up at this audition, and to be perfectly honest, I had no idea what I was auditioning for. I mean, I didn't understand the scope or anything of the project. Obviously, I knew it was a sketch show, but I didn't know if it was like a TV thing or an indie thing or a theater thing or a recurring thing. I had absolutely no other information. So I show up, I audition, and then I get an email a couple days later that I had been accepted into the troupe. And turns out this troupe, patent pending, has been around for a couple of years. This is their 3rd season, and they just independently produce it's more of like a play, but it's all individual sketches. So it's like Saturday Night Live. Just sketch after sketch after sketch, and and the group of individuals who do this are just incredibly talented and very smart and compassionate, and they really care about putting on a good show. And so next thing I know, I'm cast as an actor in this troupe, and started going to rehearsals and figuring out, they were kind of figuring me out where they could put me, what sort of roles that I was right for. And I have like the lead role in about 3 of the sketches, and I have kind of secondary roles in a few more. And it's been really interesting. It's been a fun experience, and now that we're in Tech Week, it is just pure mayhem. Pure mayhem. And so yeah, yesterday, which was Sunday, I helped them move all of their set pieces and props from our rehearsal space, which was a member of the troupe's living room. And, we rented a U-Haul and threw everything in the U-Haul and drove it out to the theater, and we will be prepping the theater and getting all the technical side so we can put on a good show. I'll tell you, man, it is really just shocking how much work goes into just putting on anything. I've already talked about this. I did a long rant on that the other day about, how much work it takes even just to create a movie that sucks. So yeah, very excited to be doing that. And I didn't even talk about this, but last night I had an opportunity to participate in a stand-up comedy contest at my hometown club, the one and only JP's Comedy Club. Um, and I had a great time. There was a great crowd. I ended up placing third. Which I was really happy about, actually, because it's stand-up comedy competitions. I mean, it's just so difficult. There's so much subjectivity to stand-up comedy, but I caught the guy's set who got second place, and I really thought he was really, really funny. I didn't catch the set of the guy who got first place because after my set, I kind of took a walk and sort of cleared my head a little bit. But so, I'm not disappointed. The club owner actually called me and let me know that I did a really good job and said some very kind words. And so I was really appreciative of that. But, it's just all part of this tapestry of this dream that I'm pursuing. These opportunities to perform in different contexts and different genres and different styles, exercising different parts of my comedic ability, going from stand-up last week to this week, it's all scripted sketch comedy and, really rehearsing down to each beat to try to find where the comedic moments are and creating characters and, bringing emotional truth to the role and all of that stuff. So, really cool. Really looking forward to this week. It's going to be a lot of work. Tonight was just pure mayhem. It was the first night that we were all in the theater together, and there is just a litany of props and costumes and set pieces and boxes and scripts and oh my gosh, I mean, just littering the theater just all over the place. And we didn't really get a chance to do much rehearsal. We were really it's tech week, so we were working a lot with the lighting guy to start really figuring out how the lights work in the theater and what sort of lighting cues we need for each sketch and all of that stuff. And I'll tell you, the sheer volume of details that go into a theater production, it is no small feat for sure. So I will be looking forward to that again this weekend. And getting ready and prepping for that. So I realize that I have been neglecting to talk about the self-help book. I call it self-help book that I have been listening to. If you follow the podcast regularly, I usually spend the first half just kind of catching up on how things are going with my dreams, but then I like to take the second half to create commentary on a book that I'm involved in that I find interesting and or helpful or not helpful and for whatever reason. So I say reading, but I have been listening to on Audible a book called Magic Mind. And it's written by a neuroscientist, and he's really playing in that space between sort of the metaphysical, spiritual, how do I say it? Aspects of life, I guess. There's so much literature and material and content out there about the power of manifestation, like The Secret and Think and Grow Rich and Laws of Success. And, there's Tony Robbins and there's Kyle Cease and there's Dr. Joe Dispenza and there's what's her name? Lisa Nichols, I think is her name. Um, and they all, talk about how to get your dreams and, how to manifest. And, there's just a very wide spectrum of, philosophies and strategies and what role spirituality plays in that, what role God plays in that, what role luck plays in that. Um, there's just so many different approaches, philosophies, and ideas out there. So, anyway, with mind magic, I feel like he's trying to bridge a gap between all of those self-help philosophies, the mindset philosophies, but then also bring in the very practical, technical knowledge of how the brain actually works from a physical, physiological, chemical, um, uh, electrical. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, just the actual brain function, and sort of live in that space there between the metaphysical and the physical. And not gonna lie, it's a little much at times, especially when he starts getting all the technical jargon. My mind has a hard time keeping up with that sort of talk, especially because I'm listening to it. I'm not reading it. So, it's hard for me to like picture when he's talking about the medulla oblongata and the limbic system and blah, 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 blah. But from a philosophical standpoint and a practical standpoint, I understand where he's getting at. He's just talking about well, this is how the brain is operating, and this is how we can use our free will to optimize how our brain perceives the world to maximize our potential outcome. And today's chapter was really interesting. It was called Remove the Obstacles in Your Mind. And he starts the chapter talking about like this intense meditation he went on, which was kind of interesting, and how he sort of was able to separate his mind from his body and sort of have one of those like out of body meditations where he's sort of observing himself, and then he's able to like zoom out and see the whole world and all of that stuff. But what he started to evolve into with that chapter is how our brains have really evolved to prioritize survival first and foremost. And then again, he gets on all the technical side of that. It's like, well, when we're in survival mode, this part of the brain releases these types of chemicals and then causes us to focus on whatever the immediate task at hand is for survival, and how then that hyper focus has the potential of us not seeing potential opportunities, and how that survival mechanism, which was, it is a little outdated. It's really designed to protect us from like immediate threat, like a saber-toothed tiger. What it's really bad at is turning off in our modern day world, and how that system seems to get triggered in our modern world with the same intensity as a saber-toothed tiger, even though what's actually threatening us is no real threat whatsoever. And I got to tell you, there is some serious truth to that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I got a negative YouTube comment a couple days ago, and and it triggered that fight or flight response. having a disagreement, having an argument, even with somebody you love, can like trigger this fear response. And the author talks about how our minds are actually trained to seek out and emphasize the negative. It's actually geared towards that. And I mean, I've always kind of been aware of that, but just hearing him point it out that it's actually biologically hardwired into our DNA and has been, a significant part of the evolution of the human brain to prioritize negativity. And, again, it's like I get a negative YouTube comment and, it'll throw me off track for hours. I'll be so upset. I'll be hurt. I'll be defensive. I'll want to I'll start fantasizing about lashing out or and sometimes I've made the mistake of actually commenting back, and then I try to combat something, snarky and smart-assy and obnoxious back because, they left something negative, and then it just turns into this, back and forth, ridiculous, mean-spirited conversation, and there's been plenty of comics who have had this experience, when they're on stage, they're doing a stand-up comedy set, and everybody in the room is laughing except for that one person. And there's one person with their arms folded, scowling at you. And it's like that person then gets our entire attention. And it's almost like we can't even see the 99 other people or 100, however many people are in the comedy club. We can't even see everybody else in the comedy club laughing. The only person we can see and that we are aware of is the one person not laughing. And that is just one example of this negativity bias. And, it's not our fault. It's how we're hardwired. And the opportunity there and the challenge there is to recognize that and find ways to pretty much outsmart or to control or to subdue or to just consciously choose to intercept those negative biases and reroute the brain's attention to the positive, to the ambitious, to the opportunity, and allow the incredible, miraculous capacities of our brain to go far beyond survival. The thing about survival is obviously it's right here and it's right now, and it has no interest in growth. It has no interest in long-term solutions. It has no interest in, searching for opportunities and connections and networks and vulnerabilities and all of these elements that have the potential to make life fulfilling and deep and meaningful and abundant. All it can think is negative YouTube comment, saber-toothed tiger is going to kill me, feel anxious, feel stressed, and start figuring out how to attack and defend. It's like attack and defend, attack and defend. And that is just such a short-term strategy for anything in life. And unfortunately, since again, that is our hardware, that is us on default. That is human beings on default mode. And the only way around that is to manually and consciously override the default brain response and consciously choose to really assess the actual threat level. Like, how threatening is some random guy on YouTube leaving just a negative, mean comment? It's actually zero threat whatsoever to me, physically. And it's not actually a threat to me at all, unless I choose for it to be a threat. So, removing the obstacles in our own mind, removing the fear, removing the negative biases is, first of all, probably a lifelong process. I don't think we'll ever actually get all the way there, but I have definitely found in my life, the more I can remove my fears and the more I can remove my, oh my gosh, everybody is going to laugh at me or criticize me. I mean, even doing this podcast daily, I have to overcome that fear response all the time. And that survival response and go like, nope, I'm going to share what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling to the internet, to anybody who the sacred algorithms of YouTube determines might want to listen to it. And every episode is open for criticism and critique and for negativity. And every day I just have to convince myself, manually override that fear response and go like, nope, that's totally fine. I'm going to post it anyway and let the people think what they will. So that is the challenge. Remove the obstacles in our own minds. All right, everybody. That is all for today. I hope you are all doing fantastic. Your dreams are coming true. That you are finding ways to overcome those fear responses and those negative biases to allow room and opportunity for more fulfilling and abundant experiences in life. All right, everybody, that's all for today. This is for November 11th, 2024, our Veterans Day. This is episode 320 of the Paul Green Comedy PaulCast. I love you all so much, and I will talk to you tomorrow.